Hello, my name is Mark Massacola, and I live here in North Carolina in the United States, and I'm going to give you a quick introduction on how to record an electric guitar with an amplifier, particularly through microphones. This topic's of interest to me because I'm a guitar player, although I'm very, very new to music production. So this is meant as a basic introduction, and there's a resource at the end of this PDF file. There is a series of references that I use that you could actually go out to see using the live links that are included in the PDF. So we're going to cover how different amplifiers affect the recording, amplifier placement, microphones, what type of microphones you can use, and actually microphone placement. But one thing I want to mention here that's on the top of this slide, you really should work on getting the guitar sound as close as you can to what you want on the final recording. Don't leave it up to the engineer to make it sound the way you want. I think this is key. Amplifiers and amplifier placement. Everybody knows there's lots of different kinds of amps out there in the marketplace with various speaker configurations. There's tube amps, solid state amps, modeling amps, all different types. And they all have various different characteristics and features and whatnot. One of the things that I kind of realized when I didn't realize actually until I was doing this little research project was the various cabinets that amplifiers come in, open cabinet or sealed cabinet. I didn't really realize how much that played on the recording. But open cabinets tend to have different low frequency characteristics enclosed and can be prone to something called cabinet thumps, which is bursts of low frequency through the speaker, which when a guitar is playing lower notes or if he's muting strings, could produce loud low frequency thumps that are undesirable. So there's a way to fix that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But other things you may want to look at is moving the amplifier around a particular room. The sound can vary greatly as you reflect it off various surfaces. And also, try different rooms, right? Ever wonder why you sound better singing in the shower? The size of the room, the contents in the room, the actual materials that the room's been constructed for, all lend itself to the room's sonic quality. So something you want to think about in terms of where, not only where in the room you're going to place an amp, but also which room you might be more apt to record. And then alter the amplifier position. This kind of addresses that cabinet thumping that I mentioned earlier. And that's, you might want to pick it up off the floor because this floor reflects the sound. You may want to put it on a folding chair, a drum riser, or just tilt the position up. I know Les Paul, when he recorded, tilted his amp up, the front end of his amp up, and you can see a picture of that here in the slide on this, using this Mesa Boogie amp here. So, in addition, the amplifiers are so cool. They're so critical here in terms of the sound. And you want to keep that in mind as we talk about microphones, because to the microphone, the amp is the instrument, right? That's a pretty important fact here. And, various types of microphones have been used to record electric guitars. Dynamic microphones as well as condenser microphones and ribbon microphones. Shure's SM57, the Sennheiser MD21, the Electro Voice RE20 have all been used and are very popular for recording electric guitar. The Shure 57 seems to be the de facto choice with a lot of engineers, and it's very popular because I think it was originally designed for speech, which may likely explain why it's a great choice, because the mid-range frequencies that electric guitar produces are similar to speech. Condenser microphones have been used very widely and very successfully. A lot of favorites, AKG 414, various models, the Newman U87 are very popular. They tend to probably grab more sound than the dynamic microphone, and they also tend to make the guitar sound brighter, something you might want to inform your guitarist of, that he's going to actually sound brighter if he's been recording with a condenser microphone. Ribbon microphones, although they're much more delicate, are also used. The smaller Beyer M160 was used by engineer Eddie Kramer for 30 years, and he captured the sounds of Led Zeppelin and Jimi Hendrix, so I would say those were used pretty successfully. Microphone placement. You could spend hours discussing close miking techniques alone based on positioning, the mic relative to the speaker. If you've got it on axis, which is dead on, or off axis slightly at an angle. Whether you put the microphone right on the cone of the speaker or you move it toward the edge. This all has an effect on it. So something that you really should explore. Even we talked about the open cabinet. Some engineers like to mic the back of the cabinet in addition to the front of the cabinet or in place of the cabinet. So there's different ways here. Ambient placement really refers to miking somewhere else in the room, setting it up maybe 10 feet away from the amp or over in a corner. So this has more to do with the room selection that we spoke about earlier and the amplifier placement in the room. And then finally, multiple microphones. I mean, we're talked about one microphone, but a lot of folks use different types of microphones and use many of them just for recording in front of the amp. And you may want to move them to ambient. So really the message here is that the choices are endless. So you can use multiple microphones across multiple amps, which would add even more color if you set your amplifiers up differently. You might want to have one amp be very clean, another amp be set to slightly overdriven tones, and a third one, with maybe heavy chorus, and record these into different channels and pan them hard right, hard left, or whatever. So the bottom line is there's tons and tons of configurations to explore. So in summary, this is really just a brief introduction. Acquire more knowledge on this topic. Check out the references I have on the next slide. And remember, as you start to do this, get your desired guitar sound first. You might want to start simple with a single microphone and move that around where the amp is and move it around the room, move your amp around. But start simple. And then, vary the placement, as I said, of the microphone and amplifier, and check out the results. And then, as you get more accustomed and more comfortable, experiment with more complex arrangements. The key here is to really experiment and then listen, use your ears. So that's about it for introduction to recording electric guitar through amplifiers. Thanks a lot for listening, and we'll come back to you soon.